iPhone, is that Councillor Defty?
It is indeed, yes. Good evening.
Fine. Evening.
Okie dokie. Kick off. Item 1, apologies for absence. If you just give me a second, I'll see if there's any last minute apologies come in to my email. No, I can't do that. Right, I've only had one apology, and that was from Councillor Willis, who's on holiday at the moment.
Madam Mayor, I propose that Councillor Willis's apologies accepted.
If there are any other absences, as is normal procedure, they will be recorded as unapproved. Right, item 2, declarations of interest. None?
No.
If anybody does have a declaration, will you put your sound on and let me know, please?
No.
That looks like a no
No.
all round.
Yeah.
Just going to turn this volume up. Okay, item 3. Sorry, yeah.
I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. It sounds like music in the background. Anybody?
Not me.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay then. Item 3 was public participation. We have been allowing up to 30 minutes. Certainly that's the time period we allow in a physical meeting. That's what our members' wishes this evening.
Madam Mayor, I propose that we continue 30 minutes.
Second that.
Yep.
Is there any dissent?
Absolutely fine.
No? All right, that's great. Members of the public, over to you.
Dorothy?
May
Dorothy?
I ask a question?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Can you tell me how often do you get an update from Northumberland Police?
Want me to come back on that one? Not routinely. But,
Not routine.
Not routinely.
May I interrupt there, Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councillor Orme.
Yes, just to say that the Coalfield Area Committee gets an update from Northumbria Police with all its figures every time it meets. That's the Coalfields Area Committee, and we will be giving that the URL to connect to that, to see that, along with the minutes of the meeting. I'll give it to the town clerk, he can put it on the website.
So can the public have access to that if it's on the website?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so presumably we have to request for the Hetton Town Council meeting, we have to request to Northumberland Police for an update?
Yes. If we want them to attend either remotely or physically.
Fine, okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Councillor Elvin.
Yes, in light of the Member of Public's request, could I suggest that we write to Northumberland Police and ask them to mail to the town clerk the figures that they mailed to the Area Coalfield Committee, and then the clerk can publish them on our website.
Sorry, Councillor.
You've got an echo on your speech.
Yeah, okay, did you get that? If not, I'll come out and try it back in.
Try it again if I was you. Try it again. Yes, try it again. He's got muted. Yeah, right.
Well, what I suggested and proposed that in light of what's just been said by the member of the public, the town clerk writes to Northumberland Police and asks them to copy into him the monthly figures or whatever the figures are that he gives to the area coalfield committee, so that the council is immediately au fait with them, and then the town clerk, for the public's convenience, could then publish them on our Facebook or on our website and maybe on our Facebook site.
Any other members of the public?
Yeah, can I speak?
Yes, Lindsay, and
Yeah.
then
Can I just come into that? Just brings something that there's a crime report actually for the Ragdale Garden site. I don't know if anybody has actually read it. Reporting the statistics on there. So that is obviously something that you may want to look into and help actually develop getting information as well from the police, because I know from what Northumbria Police are saying that it is going to have a massive impact if these houses actually go ahead, because of obviously the crime rate already in the area. So that's just something I'd kind of briefly like to mention. Can I also just ask, am I actually allowed to contact councillors direct? If a councillor makes a statement stating they have facts and figures, am I in my right to ask that councillor for copies of facts and figures, or should I not be doing that?
If I could answer that, it is your right to contact your local councillor at any time.
What do you clarify as my local councillor? Because what's actually happened is I've contacted 2 councillors who were not my ward councillor for information, and I'm the feeling to provide that. And actually one person was quite abrupt, quite rude, and told me I needed to contact my local councillor. And my local councillor obviously wasn't the councillor that made a statement stating they had facts and figures. So I wouldn't obviously go to my local councillor, I would go to the person that made that comment.
Somebody want to answer that?
Councillor Alban again.
Well, I did my understanding that as a member of the public, you can write to any councillor or any MP, anybody in an elected position, and ask them for clarification of the comments that they've made.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree.
If they've got information, it's normally public information.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Obviously, if somebody a statement stating there was facts and figures, that they would be readily available and be able to be provided, especially when we're in a situation where obviously we're trying to fight obviously the situation at Cragdale and trying to get as much facts and figures as possible. And obviously from the people that said they have the figures, I was hitting a brick wall. So I was obviously just trying to get some more information, that was all. And kind of, I was a little bit shocked actually that I received from the councillors.
So you should be able to, but yeah, Councillor Hopper.
If you want to send me the information, Lindsay, I'll certainly make the request for the information on your behalf. What was it about? If it's not private.
No, it was regarding the demand for social housing. It was regarding comments that was made regarding facts and figures that there was a need for the social housing and the need for it in Pecar and Moseley.
I'll see if I can find the figures that I've got, Lindsay, and I'll send them over to you now.
Thank you.
No problem.
You finished? Town Clerk?
If I just comment on that, I did have some information provided a little while ago. I'll just need to, when I get back into the office, just refresh the position. As member did provide me with some information, which is potentially able to be circulated.
You want to speak?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I don't know if we're on about the social housing. Sorry?
It's your feedback. I think everybody's giving feedback on them when speaking.
Not turning the fucking mic off, that's why.
I don't.
I don't know who said that one.
All right, carry on.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the social housing figures, Lindsay, I don't think anything that Sunderland Council are providing is reliable, and that's not like really a dig at Sunderland Council. It's more. I looked at the figures, and they said there was 2,000 on the waiting list. Gen 2 said there was 20,000 on the waiting list. Then I was talking to, well, I've actually spoken to 3 members of the public now who are applying, and Gen 2's asked them to apply as many times as they want for as many houses as they want. So I suppose the question we should be asking is not the figures that they've got, how are they compiling these figures? And this is, you know, you'd be like me. I mean, I work in Hetton and been wandering around, and there's loads of empty houses, bungalows, houses, flats, and I want to know whether they're taken into consideration. And go back to the police thing, what you just mentioned there before. I think there's 4 or 5 levels. The top level is extreme. The next level down is high, and the police have put a report on the Cragdale Gardens planning application, saying that they expect it to be high if that project goes ahead. So if anybody hasn't wrote to your city councillor, I would advise you do now. I would ask you to do it. Sorry, Lindsay, carry on.
Is that it, Lindsay? Or?
No.
I see you at all now, Lindsay. You've got mute. Right.
I've done this. Sorry.
Right.
Can I just ask? Does anybody know if a member is able to sit on Sunderland City Council and on the Gen 2 board? Because I've been doing a little bit of digging, and obviously I know that there was a particular councillor that sat on a Hetton development from Sunderland City Council, and I sat on Gen 2 board. I'm just wondering how somebody is able to do that, and it's not like a conflict of interest.
Elvin, did you want to come in on that? Councillor Elvin?
Councillor Essel is the guy I was talking about.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Councillor Elvin,
Yes.
yeah. Can't hear you. You're on mute, Councillor Elvin.
Thank you. To answer your question, Lindsay, it has been common practice for Sunderland City Councillor to be made a director of Gen 2 over the years. It's a question that can only really be answered by Sunderland City Council as to why that is. But of course, it begs the issue about conflict of interest, something that I brought up at the last meeting. But Madam Mayor, if I can go back to Lindsay's first point, if she's unhappy with the response that she received from a city councillor, I would urge her to put in a formal complaint to Sunderland City Council. It sounds to me as if it was an inappropriate response and not one that you'd expect from a councillor in an elected position. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, Madam Mayor, I proposed at the beginning of this, after the Dorothy Ferguson spoke, that we asked the town clerk to write to the Northumbria Police and ask them to send us the figures they send to the coalfields.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where it's coming from because I don't normally have this problem. So I made a proposal at the beginning after Miss Dorothy Ferguson spoke. I mean, Madam Mayor, I mean, I'd like to know if anybody would be prepared to second that motion and we could vote on it.
Councillor Rome, she's got a hand up. Okay.
I'll second that.
Second it, yeah.
Could you repeat the motion, Madam Mayor?
Councillor Elvin, do you wish to repeat the motion?
Yeah, for the third time, Madam Mayor, I said that the town clerk to write to the Northumbria Police and ask them to copy him in on the figures that he sends to the area coalfield committee, as and when he sends them to him, so that the town clerk will then be able to make them available readily to the people of Hetton via our website, Facebook link, and any other media that we have at our disposal.
Thank you. I thought we were talking about Lindsay's problem. However, I would agree with you, and I would second that.
Mr. Dowell, did you wish to speak? You're on mute. Oh, there you are. You're off now.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Good evening all. Although I'm obviously interested in the discussions and debates in all the meetings, I'm curious as to the focus on the CCTV that Councillor Hopper brought up a few months back, and the feelings of the public's reaction and the progress management. What would go ahead with that? The positioning in hotspots, where they would be placed, and the amount of cameras, and also the funding.
I think that's going to be brought up on item 15.
Item 15, I think it's item 15.
Item 15, yeah.
Yeah.
Town clerk.
Jim, can I just mention, I think I heard the use of inappropriate language a little earlier. Could I just highlight, please, that we need to conduct the meeting in a cordial and courteous manner. I may have misheard, I don't know, but I did think I picked up an obscenity a little earlier.
Yeah. Is there any other member of the public wishing to speak? No. Councillor Elvin, did you?
Could I just ask, Madam Mayor, has my proposition was proposed and seconded? Has it been adopted?
So yeah, but I mean, we can vote on it if you wish. Yeah. Yeah.
No, if there are no objections, providing it goes ahead, that's absolutely fine.
That's fine. Okay. Any other members of the public wish to speak?
Lindsay?
Can I just clarify? Councillor Elvin said there regarding the member who sent the email, it was actually a Hetton Town councillor. It wasn't a city councillor, it was a Hetton Town councillor. Just to clarify that. And I've just got a little concern regarding the traffic in our area at Moseley. There was an incident about 2 weeks ago, and there was somebody injured on Moseley Road.
Lindsay, you're breaking up.
Can you hear now or not?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm guessing there was an incident on Moseley Road a couple of weeks ago, and there was somebody on the motorbike. And also we have on the road, on Moseley Road, where people do speed down that road. Concerns regarding that. He was knocked off his motorbike. There was police, ambulances, etc. there. About 9, I think it was, one morning. So I just, obviously, that's a little concerning as well regarding the traffic.
Councillor Waterston?
Yes, I think this is going to be addressed later in answers we get back, action taken from Sunderland City Council. I think I did mention about sleeping policemen, whatever you want to call them, speed humps or whatever up there, and had the highways not carried out some sort of, I don't know what you call it, what they're doing. They'd been up there and they'd said it wasn't worth, the volume of traffic wasn't worth doing anything about it. So I think, Lindsay, you've got a very little chance of getting anything sorted out up there when you get a response like that. So that's me being a little bit doom and gloom tonight.
Madam Mayor, could I just interject and say that the comment I made about an official complaint to Sunderland City Council goes equally as well for town councillors as just for city councillors, your MP and city councillors and town councillors are all treated with the same.
Right. Councillor Geddes?
Yeah, can you hear me all right? Can you? Just to come back to what Lindsay said, I recall a meeting that both myself and Councillor Waterson had with Nick Jorgan, Inspector Nick Jorgan, and Sergeant Simon Marshall. At which time, if my memory doesn't fail me, Councillor Waterson, they said that there were speed guns available, and if any member of the public wanted to actually get a hold of one from the police, he would be quite happy to do that. Can you recall that, Councillor
Yes,
Waterson?
yeah, I can, Councillor Geddes, that was said,
Right.
that was offered.
Just going back to Lindsay, if that is still the case, then I'll certainly, or Susan can certainly contact Nick Jorgan and see if that is still the case, and we'll look at trying to get a hold of one. If that comes to fruition, we'll sort the mechanics out, but need to find out if they're still available, if that's any help to you. I'm not suggesting you do it, mind, Lindsay. That's all.
I live in the same area, I'll do it.
Well, that's good.
And if they've got a stinger, that'd be great.
Well, you can't go that far.
Is there any other members of the public wishing to speak, or is that it? Doesn't look as though it is. Oh. No, that doesn't look as though it is. That looks like it's all. Town clerk, looks like it. Can we proceed?
Yep.
Item 4, the minutes.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Do apologise. Yes, next item is item 4. 3 sets of minutes this evening. First are the draft minutes of the meeting held on 21st of September. That was full council. You want me to pull these up on screen?
Yeah.
Agreed.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, sorry.
Why is it not working? Right, there you go. Just bear in mind, I can't see anybody now. It'll appear in a second. Okay. So there are 7 pages altogether. Somebody got some background noise on their mind. Right, that's your minutes. Any views, please?
Evan?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose those minutes are adopted.
Second.
Well, there was a rush there for a second there. Who was there first?
Councillor Waters, nothing.
Right. Okay, are they approved? Any dissent? No dissent by the looks of it. Thank you. The next minutes were those of the Events and Activities Committee. Sorry, Councillor Heron was there and he's gone and he's back again.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
it
Councillor
appears that
Elvin?
one person, the person who's known as unknown, hasn't got their microphone on mute, and we can hear all that's going on in the background. It may not be helping things this evening.
Right. Can you turn your microphone to mute, please, whoever you are, Mr. Unknown or Mrs. Unknown?
Okay, you've got on screen now the draft minutes of the Events and Special Activities Committee from the 12th of October. Any views, please?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose that these minutes are adopted.
Good.
The seconder?
Yeah, seconded. Yep.
Okay, what's the view? Any dissent?
No, doesn't look like it, no.
Thank you. Okay, the third set of minutes was the Management and Policy Committee from the 30th of October. There you go, just a single page. Okay, any views, please?
I'd like to say that these can be accepted.
I'll second that.
You okay? Any dissent at all?
I think that's adopted.
No, sounds right. Thank you very much for that. Item 5 is reports from members. Any issues to be flagged up?
Yes, I've got one, please.
Councillor Geddes first.
Two things. Talking to a resident up where I live on Kingfisher Drive, it seems that Sunderland Council, Hetton Council have got to contact Sunderland Council to see if we can get provided with a post box. I would like Mr. Town Clerk just to look into that. Is that somebody talking?
It's just you from the
Right. So I would like for Mr. Town Clerk just to look at that, and I'm sure it's correct. And see, you know, the post office will not fix a post box unless it's identified by your local council and city council. That's one thing. And the second thing.
Town Clerk wish to come in on it?
Yeah, just to have a location, Councillor Geddes.
It's, do you want the postcode or the address?
Well, I think it needs a specific location.
Well,
can you come back to me on it?
I'll come back to you on that one.
Champion.
And it's exactly the same for dog waste bins. I mean, we've got trees here that they haven't got leaves on. They've got black bags hanging on them. And again, I have been in contact with Taylor Wimpey, who are happy to put the bins up. But the fact is, because the roads are not adopted, the council won't pick the dog waste up. So it's a catch-22 again. So I would like Mr. Town Clerk again, if you could contact the City Council. I'm quite happy to contact Taylor Wimpey again to see if they will still provide the bins, but the bins will be pointless if the City Council don't agree to pick the waste up. That's it.
That's it. Councillor Watterson, did you want to come in?
Yes,
Councillor
please.
Coulson.
Yeah, I've just been sent some photographs this afternoon of the golf course at Elmer. It's been ripped up again by quad bikes, and it's in a disgraceful state. And the member of the public wants to know if Sunderland City Council is going to do anything about this. It's just, it's in an appalling state at the moment. Are they going to monitor it or try and do something to stop the quads getting on there? I've got the photographic evidence, Town Clerk, and I can send it in to you if you would like. And sorry.
Do you want me to? I've got some information about that, about what you're talking about. If you want to say, come in, or you can finish what you're doing, and then I'll come in.
No, please. You can, if you've got some information, you can go to the resident now with this. Right.
So, Sunderland City Council, they're saying that the barriers belong to Gen 2. When asked about the quads and bikes over the golf course, they've asked to clarify exactly what the location is. And when they were asked a month ago, they said that the barriers weren't in the budget, and they'd said, I've actually got two bits, because you know, the correspondence coming back about the barriers around Peak Car to stop the bikes getting up there. I've actually got a couple of emails that I'll just pick the highlights out of both of them, and nobody at Sunderland City Council seems to know what's doing. First they're saying it's not ours, and then they're saying they are, and then they're saying it's not in the budget, and then they're saying they're going to send somebody out to do something. So, but I'll go into a little bit more depth about that once we get to the responses from SAC, if you don't mind.
Councillor Watterson, did you have some more?
Yes. What I'll do is I will send the photographs on to the Town Clerk anyway, and he can proceed. I'll send them into Sunderland City Council. I'm pleased to say that we have had a dog bin, Councillor Geddes, placed at the bottom of Brum Hill recently, so that's a plus. We have getting that for the residents. My next issue is it's received quite a lot of attention over the last few days, and I'm sure quite a lot of you are aware of the seizure that went on up at the allotments up at Hetton Country Park on Thursday. Sorry?
I said about time, great.
Yeah, on Thursday evening. It's taken quite a while to get this sorted out. We've been on, and I know there's been a lot of people involved, but one big push was made at the beginning of last week to get this seen to, and it did happily come to a conclusion on Thursday night with a massive amount of support from the RSPCA, the Horse Humane Society, and the police. And I think that it was appalling, and that word doesn't even express what I stood and watched on Thursday night. Late into 9:45 on Thursday evening, I stood and watched 38 horses on Thursday night being brought up from that allotment. One horse had to be carried out. It was so ill and deformed and underfed. I had to dig horses out of barns and sheds. Now, on a Sunderland City Council allotment, fair enough, I think he has, possibly this gentleman has done, I'm using the word gentleman. I shouldn't. I think he may have had 2 allotments, but to hide 42 horses on an allotment beggars belief. I think people have been going on and they've been trying to get 8 horses sorted out. They've been, you know, as I said, it's gone on for a couple of years now, and it's been 8 horses. Little did we know that he had them hidden all over. Why I'm so annoyed and agitated and angry about this situation is that I've been in correspondence with Sunderland City Council, as the clerk knows, asking for inspections to go ahead to see what was going on in there, because so many residents were asking me, what can you not do something? This is disgraceful. And I've gone on, and I've got an email trail of sort of very little support or action taken by Sunderland City Council. And I think now at this stage, I don't know what the legal situation is and whether the RSPCA are taking this person to court. But I think that now, yesterday, Friday, Sunderland City Council allotments should have taken the allotments off this man. He's not fit to have an allotment. And the state that he's left those allotments in is appalling. I would like to know what action they're going to take, when they're going to do it, and when this gentleman's going to be taken off the allotment. I know there's been some action up there. The Sunderland Council have been in, they've done some work up there. They've disturbed quite a few of the old allotment owners who've had their allotments for years and who've quite happily used them for their hobbies and their general entertainment, doing nothing untoward. They've disturbed them to put into action some of their requirements, and yet they've allowed this gentleman and his allotments to just go into a state of disrepair that I can honestly say I've never seen in my life. So I would ask the town clerk again if he would inquire what action Sunderland City Council allotments officer is going to take about getting this allotment taken off the gentleman in question. And that I've got hundreds of people asking for this because they all saw the appalling state those horses were in and photographs of the allotments. And I think it's a stain on Hetton's character for the fact that that's been allowed to go on for so long and nothing's been done about it. Thank you.
Get this? Did you?
Can I just also add that I know Councillor Willis actually reported it as well. But I will add that there was allegations that people had approached this guy. We know who it is. And they were actually threatened. You know, I think that's an issue for the police. So again, I don't know if the police were aware of this. I think that's to be identified, and I think the question certainly needs to be asked, because my understanding from the information I've gotten is there's a number of horses destroyed, and if that is confirmed, I think I echo what Councillor Watson said. It's an absolute disgrace that people in authority, including the RSPCA, I might add, because last time when they came out, they said there was nothing wrong with it. You know, I think large questions need to be asked, and I think some of those questions need to be asked by Hetton Town Council to Sunderland Town Council. So, yes, I would wholeheartedly agree. Thank you.
Councillor Coulson and then Councillor Elvin. Councillor Coulson. You've gone mute again, Councillor Coulson. You're on mute. Can we come back to Councillor Coulson and go to... he's there. Right, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the point is the speed limits in North and South Street. I'll wait for the clerk's update to see if he's got any information on that, and I'll come back later. Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Elvin, did you want to come in? Councillor Farrow. Councillor Elvin, then Councillor Farrow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've had residents complaining about the interactive speed camera on Elmore Lane. I mean, it really has been malfunctioning for months and months now. It's in a very obscure position, partially hid by parked vehicles. Obviously, in a shady area, it doesn't get any sunlight, and it's a solar operated machine. And I believe it's one of these that can be moved around. And I was wondering if we can have it moved to another area where it can probably do a lot more good. And if I could suggest if we start on the on Seaham Road, the road leading from Fournade ends obviously up through to Merton. If you know, I could put that forward as a suggestion where if we have that there, because the speeding down there is quite appalling in both directions. But something I think needs to be done about the speed camera that I've referred to. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor
Farrow? Two matters. The first is I've been contacted by a resident in East Rainton to do with vehicle speeds on Robin Lane. It's very difficult to turn out from the junction of Hedgley Road, Robin Courtfield side onto Robin Lane there. People who are familiar with that road will know that the junction is just after the brow of the hill, so it's quite difficult to see. And if cars are coming very fast from the Durham direction, it makes it quite a dangerous junction. I replied to this resident and suggested three things that perhaps could be looked at. One is to extend the present 40-mile-an-hour limit back to the county border. The second, to reduce the present limit of 40 to 30. And the third, to request a vehicle-activated display sign there. I put these suggestions to the city councillors, and Councillor Blackburn got back to me, and he has forwarded this on to the council officers. But he also suggested I brought it to this meeting, as he thought that it would be a good idea if the town clerk also put forward this suggestion. So if the town clerk is happy, I can send him by email details of this.
Councillor Farrow, I'm never happy. I just have shades of less unhappiness.
Right, thank you. The other matter actually concerns the last meeting, and I'd like just to read this to council tonight. The video recording of the meeting of full council on the 21st of September records an exchange between me and another member, and a similar exchange between Councillor Heron and that same member. The matter under discussion was the decision made by Council on the 20th of July not to approve the award of £500 to Springboard Adventure. This decision is recorded in minute 9 of the 20th of July meeting. Councillor Heron and I referred to that minute, and I reported on the precise voting which led to that decision. The other member then interjected, saying, "That is not true, don't speak untruths." I would like it to be put on record at this meeting that neither I nor Councillor Heron were being dishonest. We were reporting facts as they are recorded in the approved minutes. And for me, this is an important matter, as the general public who have access to the video and to the minutes of meetings should not be misled. I would also like any
point of order, Madam Chairman. Point of order. This is not a board matter.
To the next meeting, so members have time to check the facts, and because we already have a full agenda tonight. If anyone would like to read what I have just said, I will ask the clerk to circulate it to you. Thank you.
Councillor Rome, did you?
Yes, point. Can you hang on? Whoops. Can you hear me?
Are you there? Yes, yes.
That's a point of order. First of all, that was not a ward matter.
What number is it on the point of order, please? What number is it? What number is it? According to standing orders, you must give the number.
It's not a ward. It's not a ward matter. But despite that fact, may I just say that I'm fully aware of that exchange, and I am addressing this later, and I have my notes, and I would like to respond to Councillor Farrow because I was going to bring it up again. But I won't. I'll wait till later. Yeah. It's not appropriate for a ward matter.
Okay. Any more ward matters to be brought Oh yes, I've got one, sorry. Can I report the shop Go Discount, the land behind it, where the drains are? That drain's blocked and it causes flooding in the, I think they use it as a car park. It's not actually a car park. And when it actually drains away slowly, it leaves a terrible smell and it can be, you know, classed as a health hazard. I have written to Sunderland City Council, but I've had no reply whatsoever. So if you can ask them if you can do anything about this. They said they'd send it to the drainage department, but the drainage department hasn't done anything. Okay, thank you. Any others?
Yeah, mate.
Hey, sorry.
Me, Cap.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Geddes, sorry.
Under warden matters, I'm sure everybody knows, but it's a little bit of good news. I think it was very nice to see that Wild at Heart won a prestigious award. And I think it's well deserved because the work them girls have put in there, both Bev and I can't remember the other girl's name, sadly. But I think well done to them. I think it's a great ray of hope for Hetton Town Centre and the girls' hard work. So can I just suggest that the town clerk writes to Wild at Heart in the middle of Hetton and issues our congratulations to them for an excellent, excellent job. And on the downside, can I also say that area, what Councillor Pearson was mentioning, there's a load of rubbish dumped as well again, old mattresses and stuff.
This morning, yeah. Okay, Councillor Hopper.
Hello. I wonder whether the town clerk could. I think I copied you into an email sent to Sunderland City Council. The email that you give me, town clerk, and it was about Hartford Crescent, about all the overgrown weeds and it's difficult access out the back. I think that was one of the first things I reported when I came onto council, and within a couple of weeks they went out and cut it, and I've had no response back. I just wondered whether you could chase it up for me, please. On a positive note, the drains on Moseley Road are now clear and free from water after the third visit, but they finally got there in the end. Full of tarmac. Great stuff. So thank you very much.
Any other councillors wish to? No. 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 Go on to the next item.
Okay, item 6 on the agenda was Sunderland City Councillors, Hetton and Cockhill Awards. Council to receive an update and members to raise any concerns. Just to make Council aware that I did get an email back from both Councillor Roundtree and Councillor Johnson. Unfortunately, they weren't able to attend this evening. Doesn't appear to be any sound.
No. No. Okay. Item 7.
Yes, this is just to formally report that we have 2 casual vacancies, excuse me, following the resignation of former Councillor Jack Cunningham and former Councillor Carol Sinnott. These are both in the Hetton Downs ward. The notice of casual vacancy has been published by the City Council, and the deadline for the first vacancy is the 22nd of October and the second 27th of October, and that's the date by which town electors must notify the City Council if they want an election to be held. That's all there is to report, just for information. That's the position at the moment. Item 8, an update from me. I just have a couple of things to mention. At the last meeting, a member asked me to establish if the Ombudsman could play any role in helping resolve some of the issues that the council has raised. I have responded to the member concerned, but the position is that the local government and health ombudsman cannot act on behalf of parish or town councils. And the other aspect just to flag up was that the Management and Policy Committee asked me to write to the City Council around an anti-litter campaign and signage. I have had a response, and they're asking for more details in terms of locations and exactly what we might like. So my intention is to email members of Management and Policy in particular to see if they can just provide me with some more detail, and I'll feed back to the City Council. Any queries at all on that report?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Where are we? Financial reports.
8. Finance report.
9.
Finance report.
There you have your financial report. There's one thing I just want to flag up. Staffing expenditure, you'll see that there are 2 payments there for the Nest pension. The top one there for £162.68 was taken out by the direct debit arrangement on the 29th of September. And I'm a little puzzled by this because it doesn't tally with any of the previous salary payments to me. I don't know if it's out of sync or anything. I have referred it to our payroll provider to have a look at and investigate. I haven't heard back from them, but when I do, I'll let members know what the position is. I've included it on the report tonight, quite simply because it really has been money that's gone out of the bank account, so it needs to be accounted for. It may be that we get it back in due course, or at least an explanation for what it's about, but I will report back. And the other thing, just a minor point, you'll see that further down the list in town clerk expenditure, there's a buy from the sheets of A4 paper. It was £1.70. It was a bin end in Tesco, so I couldn't resist it. I'm not actually printing a lot of stuff at the minute, but I'll have that. So there's your financial report. Any views at all? Any queries?
No.
Okay, thank you for that.
Elvin wants to speak, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is there any sign of the money that it was muted that some of the City Council were going to give us towards the COVID-19 problems we've had and are still ongoing? There was muted that they were going to give us some money. Any update on that, Town Clerk? I see nothing in the statement.
We've had it, and I'm sure I've previously reported it.
Was that
£1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, can I come in, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, Councillor Heron.
Thank you.
Oh, you're there. Sorry.
It was just solely around the number of extra hours the clerks worked over the agreed amount. How much was there any this month, Mr. Keeley?
Yes, following a similar query last month, I've actually elaborated slightly in the financial report, and what you'll see there is that the salary includes some additional hours worked for September. That's up to the ceiling, which is agreed by the staffing committee.
I just picked it up.
Yeah, okay.
Right, thank you.
No bother.
Anybody? Or Councillor Farrell?
Just to say, I'm pleased to see that we do have money from Hargreaves Community Fund listed there, and I wonder if at some point in the future we could consider if there is anything specific that money could be well spent on. Not to discuss or decide tonight, but something to look at in the future, possibly by one of the subcommittees of the council.
Yep. It's a good idea, yep.
Okay, can I have a view on whether or not council wishes to approve that financial report?
I would certainly put it forward for approval.
So that was
I'll
councillor-
second that.
Any dissent? Good, thank you very much. Item 10, Christmas trees and illuminations. Just bring this on screen. All members will have had all of these reports. Yeah, this is just for noting and information. We're already tied into the Sunderland City Council to be the provider and to Balfour Beatty for the illuminations. Just to put in front of members the actual costs involved. If I can just comment on the Christmas trees, you'll see that the East Rayton tree is slightly less than the tree for Moorsley and Hetton. Overall, the cost will be the same. What happens here is that the cost for the installation of the trees is incorporated into the Moorsley and Hetton prices, but not the East Rayton one. Sunderland City Council have to do that themselves rather than the tree supplier. And apparently there's a problem with overhead cables, which requires a different installation method. So we'll get a separate fee from Sunderland for about £200, which I've alluded to further down the report. And the other thing I just want to comment on is that Balfour Beatty have provided those costs. I made an executive decision, I'm afraid, and I told them on Friday to go ahead.
Yeah.
They're a little bit pushed staff-wise with resources with COVID. As I say, it's just for information. That's the cost. I think it's exactly the same as it was last year as well. I will have to issue an official order to Balfour Beatty, but I thought I'd wait until members saw that this evening.
Fine.
Okay.
Could I come in, Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councillor Heron, I can't see, but yeah.
Yeah, it was with regards to, I've seen them digging up the Moorsley and Hetton trees where the socket is for the trees. I was just wondering, what are they doing there? Has the clerk any feedback on that, or is it general maintenance to it? They were just put in 2 or 3 years ago after some seriously high winds, and it's supposed to be put in at a more secure level. I was just wondering if the clerk has any update on that, please.
Yes, I can give you an update on that. I was alerted to the works that were taking place at the Hetton nursery site. I think it was Thursday of last week. And the City Council had told me some time ago that work would be carried out. They kept referring to a socket, and of course I thought they meant a power socket. But what it is, it's actually a housing for the trees. And what they've done is they've made the housing for the trees deeper. Unfortunately, they didn't tell me when it was going to be done, so I have had to go across to the nursery at Hetton, just make peace with them, so to speak, because they didn't know it was going to happen. And unfortunately, the grassed area where the Hetton tree goes has been significantly disturbed, although I've had a commitment today from the City Council that they will reinstate it.
Very good.
Okay.
Can I just come in there? Yeah, can I just come in there? I think it would have been polite, to say the least, if Sunderland City Council had informed Hetton Town Council what was going to go ahead. I think that, you know, for Hetton Town Council not to know that they were going to do something, and they've gone on and it's private land. They've actually gone on to private land and they haven't informed the nursery owner that they were going to do this work. I think that's rather naughty, to say the least. And yet again, I think it shows the fact that they don't have any thought or value for Hetton Town Council, that they were not informed about what's going on.
Are you sure that's private land, Councillor Waterson?
I think it is private land,
Are
councillor
you sure?
Guess.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I think I did
Yes.
check with the
I remember
land
we
terrier
got
a
that
couple of
comment
years
on
ago.
it. Yeah, yeah. Remember that.
Clark?
Yeah, if I just come back, as I say, I have been over to see the nursery manager. I did my best, very best United Nations role, and explained the circumstances. I have also spoken to my contact at the City Council, and as I mentioned earlier, I was aware that the work to renew the housings was going to be carried out. I just didn't know when, so it did come as a little bit of a surprise to me. If I can just mention a couple of other things relating to the trees in general. I was asked at an earlier meeting to write to the City Council to seek some details about quality assurance, and also any redress that the council may have should there be a repeat of last year's comments about poor quality. I'm awaiting their response, and I'll feed it back when I get it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Yeah. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to point out that the action of Sunderland City Council is again in direct contravention to the Town Charter Agreement, which they signed up to and implemented, which we can talk about later. But again, it's it states that they will to quote the City Council, they will maintain close relations and liaise with the Town Council on any work or activities which is going on in their area.
Yeah, well, it sadly hasn't happened this time, has it? I mean, I actually got a phone call from one of the residents asking what was going on in the nursery grounds. You know, and you're there and you say, oh no, I don't know. What happens is the residents think that it is Hetton Town Council, that it's Hetton Town Council that are carrying all of this works out. And then you stand there and you look red in the face because you don't know what's going on because you haven't been informed by Sunderland. It's, you know,
Quite embarrassing.
There needs to be a little bit more, yeah, without a doubt.
There.
Oh, Councillor Coulson, yeah.
Yeah, I'll confirm what Councillor Watson has said. They're doing a bike lane or footpath up to East Rainton from the Rainton Bridge area, and the residents who got letters but nothing to Hetton Council. We didn't know what was going on. So when people ring up, you sort of act a little bit dumb because you don't know. So can I just make sure before they do anything, let Hetton Council know so the council got something to talk about and answer the questions from the public. Common sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, are we all right to move on to the next item? Flagpoles.
Same to you.
Right. What you have here are the quotations for flagpoles at Hetton Mini Park. And I've obtained 3 quotations and the details are there. Now, earlier today I sent out a revised version of the report, and the report that's on screen now is the correct one. What happened here was that supplier C sent me a revised quotation just on Friday
right.
with a different price for delivery from the one that you originally had. So I have updated that. The quote was based on the example of a flagpole situated in a nearby parish council, and that's replicated in this report. What I would point out is that supplier C can't quite match that specification, different specification. And the only other point I would flag up is that although I've asked them twice, and this was in response to a comment made, I think it was at the events committee, about, or maybe management policy about vandal proofing. I've asked supplier say twice to comment on vandal proofing, but they haven't come back to me.
It's got on there anti-vandal doors on supplier B.
Yeah, supplier B and supplier A commented on my specific query about vandal proofing, but supplier C didn't.
I mean, we all know which flagpoles we're talking about. We're talking about the ones that are in Merton. I mean, can I suggest that we look at supplier B if supplier C is not coming up with the correct specification?
I agree with that.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wood.
I agree with you on that one. I would have, if I were choosing these for my own garden, I would go for supplier B.
Yeah.
Could I just ask a question on the flagpoles?
Yeah.
Who's going to put the flags up and take them down?
Well, to be fair, Councillor Heron, Mr. Town Clerk said that last year. I mean, in what respect are you talking about putting the flags up and putting the flags down?
Well, somebody has to put them on the pole and take them up, and then again take them down and take them off and store them away.
My understanding is that the Union Jack one at Merton stays up all the time, and when you have remembrance, the British Legion supply the flag to put up for the remembrance period. Then it's taken down. I don't see where there's a problem.
Who?
Well,
it's not going to be a daily occurrence, is it? It's
No,
going to be...
to be quite honest, I don't think we'll have I mean, I would volunteer to put them up and take them down if that's what you said. I've got no problem with that. And I'm sure many other councillors would.
Yeah, but surely it should be a specific task for somebody or some department within our council if we're putting the flagpoles up.
Well, to be quite honest, one of the things I would suggest as an example would be for Remembrance Day, we ask somebody that's got a military connection, somebody that was in the military, is in the military, or a cadet. I'm more concerned about getting them up. I will say this now for everybody, and I've already asked the town clerk to write a letter. The Coldstream Guards, and in particular, a lad that lives 5 doors off me, Colour Sergeant Kevin Vaughan from the Coldstream Guards, has gotten his regiment to present Hetton Town Council with those flags.
Yes.
So I would hope everybody would say thank you for that, and obviously I would like the town clerk to write a letter to not only Colour Sergeant Kevin Vaughan but the
regiment.
I would certainly agree with that, Councillor. But the only thing is, when you're passing it on, if there's nobody set to do it, everybody's going to be thinking, well, he's going to do it, they're going to do it.
Well,
we need to sort that out within the council.
Well, I think that is
and I'm
fine.
over the moon that Kevin has getting this done. Cracking lad. I have great respect and thank you on behalf from me as well as the council.
I think Councillor Elvin wants to come in.
Councillor Elvin,
yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I just comment that I think this is somewhat of a red herring or heron or a red heron or something. A heron would probably be more appropriate. I think, dear me, it's not the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace. If the town clerk organises it via the various committees, it's initially the town clerk's responsibility to liaise with various committee members, whether it's policy and management or the events committee, for somebody to raise it. I think it's a complete not a red heron. I suggest we move on, Madam Mayor.
Can I just say, Councillor Elvin, I think you hit the nail on the head. We have an events committee. in the first instance, I would just expect the events committee to put a proposition forward, take it to full council, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, to be fair to our town clerk, he did mention this when we first approached it last year, and I said to Mr. Town Clerk Graham, can we get the flag poles up and leave the mechanics till after that? I mean, it's more important to get the flag poles up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Councillor Rome, are you wishing to speak, or are you just no? No. Okay, Councillor Elvin again. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam. May I propose that we go ahead with supplier B, subject to one caveat that if we just check with supplier A to find out whether it says it has internal halyards, but it doesn't mention an anti-vandal door. But if that has an anti-vandal door, then obviously there is a saving to be made. But otherwise, if that's not the case, if it's not equivalent to supplier B, then I'd like to propose, well, that's the motion. We propose supplier B subject to a quick confirmation with supplier A whether he has a security door or not.
I'll second that.
Yeah, great.
Sorry, just so I'm absolutely clear on this one. It's supplier A, sorry, supplier B, unless supplier A can match the specification.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we're all
like
all
for
like the
like.
idea
Best value.
Of the yes, best value, but I think we all like the idea of the locked door. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, there's one thing I'd just like to add to that report. The installation of the flags is subject to receiving appropriate permissions from Sunderland City Council. And just to make Council aware that I have submitted an ordnance survey plan to the City Council with a covering email outlining what we wish to do and where we wish to place the flags. And that will determine whether or not we need to go through the advertising consent process. I'm waiting to hear back from them. I will press them this week to get a decision.
Can I just come in there, Mr. Clark?
Yep.
Councillor Geddes.
Can I just also add that there has been a flagpole up there in the past, which was confirmed by a former drawing which Councillor Watterson has in some kind of book or promotion. So we know there was a flagpole in there. Where that flagpole went, I don't know, but you know, as regards to that, there was a one in there.
Yeah, I've made that point to the City Council as well.
Good.
All right, thank you. Next item is item 12, repair to mayoral pendant. If you recall, at the end of the last meeting, the town mayor kindly landed on me that the mayoral pendant had been broken. And I thank her very much at the time for giving me an extra job to do. But I think the town mayor will be able to report on this now.
The pendant has been repaired at no cost to the council because the mayor's paid for it herself.
Oh, very good.
I'm very good, I know. We did get, there was a quote from Fratterini, is it Fratterini?
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted, I cannot, they wanted quite a bit for it. I went to Samuel's and they wanted a high price for it. And then I went to Middleton's Jewellers in Frederick Street and all he wanted was £18, which he took away. He did it and everything's fixed and it is fixed solid. So that's fine. I mean,
well done.
Anything.
A bit super glue then.
It has. No,
Can I ask you, Madam, how many times do you polish it?
Oh, I polished it as well.
Good.
Not long, but yes.
Could I just ask the town clerk to register his appreciation that the Madam Mayor has picked up the tab for doing this out of her own pocket. So it's very good of her. Yeah. That's, I think, what town councillors are about. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
And the dog's even agreeing.
I was going to say. Get up. Go on. Hey, get out. Go on.
Right, are you back?
Yeah.
Right. Next item is item 13, another screen share. This is a training offer from the County Durham Association of Local Councils around financial training. The document that you've had previously outlines all the different sessions, and you'll see that there is a cost of £30 per delegate per session, and there are a variety of dates on a variety of topics. It's aimed at members and myself. I'm not suggesting for a moment that all members need to attend all sessions, but it may be that some members of the Finance Committee may like to consider attending some of the sessions. We don't have a big training budget, so we'll probably need to be selective. And for example, I wouldn't suggest that there's any requirement to go to the VAT course. I attended a full day VAT session last year. I'm still recovering from it, actually. I had to be revived. It was fairly heavy going. And VAT is very simple from the town council's perspective. So I wouldn't suggest that we need to send anybody to VAT. But there are some subject headings there which may be of interest. And we just seeking council's view. There's one there on, yeah, they're all around budgeting, but there's one on budget and finance more generally. I don't know what members' views are.
Is there anything you would like to go on, Mr. Town Clerk, that would be beneficial to you and the council?
I'm always willing to learn, and I think currently I have a handle on the finances. I think it might be beneficial for some members to go just to get a feel for the detail of these. As I say, I'm not suggesting that I'm an expert and could run a training session on either of these topics, but generally speaking, I've got a handle on the finances and the budgeting process. It's whether or not any members need to go that step further and get a bit more in-depth knowledge of these topics. There's not a rush on, is there? There's not a rush on.
I wouldn't mind going.
I bet you said there were individual ones, Mr. Town Clerk.
Sorry, say that again?
Did you say they were individual ones? So, for example, setting the precepts. Is that a one on its own, or is it?
No.
In the budget.
No, that's just one topic which would be covered by the budget and training sessions when on those days.
Okay.
I mean, if I could make a suggestion here, Councillor Pearson, in her capacity as chairman of the Finance Committee, has expressed an interest, and for the sake of 60 quid, perhaps the budgeting and more general finance sessions would be appropriate. 60 quid.
I would second.
Madam Mayor, I propose that we have an amount in the budget for training, and it'll more than cover that. So I would propose that is accepted.
I would second that.
Are we okay with that? Any dissent? Right.
I'm quite happy to go away, councillor, if you want a friend.
Just bear in mind that online.
Yes, I mean, as you know.
You can do for me. Would you?
Would the budget stretch to 2 of us, Mr. Councillor Elvin, or not?
Yeah.
It will, I'm sure. I'm just looking at it. 1 second. Let me bring it back up. Yes, it would. Yeah.
Anyway, it'll save on taxi fares for you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, from this room, right?
Excuse me. So are we okay with that? Councillors Pearson and get us to go on 2 sessions. That would be a total cost of £120. If I've done the finance right in my head. Okay, thank you. Item 14 member email addresses. Council will recall this was an agenda topic last month, and it was deferred pending me getting some advice on the concerns about security. I have been in touch with the IT supplier, and what they've told me is that the gov.uk address is no more secure than a Gmail address or any other. What they have said though is that if we went down the gov.uk route, what it does is allow the town council to actually control who's getting those addresses, whereas the town council has no control over a Gmail or a Virgin or a Hotmail address. But in terms of the security, which seemed to me be the overriding issue last time, they've been quite clear that there's no additional security by going down that route.
Hello. Actually, cost was an issue for me. I didn't think the council should be spending money when there isn't a security issue, and also there will be an ongoing cost, because every time we change councillors, there will be a cost incurred there. So I don't think we should be going down that route. It's very simple to set up a separate email address. Thank you.
Elvin?
Yes, I would agree with Councillor Hopper, especially as there is no more secure than any other address. So I would be against it. But if members really feel that they want it for whatever reason, then maybe we should let them have it. But we should, like with the telephone allowance that they used to have, then everybody declares which councillor is putting a name forward for us to pay for them to have a .gov.uk email address. But again, I think it's totally unnecessary, and I certainly shan't be applying for one.
I need a course of action to take, or non-action.
Well, I'm quite happy to remain on the Gmail now that it's no more secure. And I was one of them that asked for security. So, you know, if there's no benefit of additional security, then I'm quite happy to remain as I am.
So I propose that we don't adopt the new emails.
I second that.
Coulson? Councillor Coulson?
Yes, I agree with that.
Is that agreed, or is there any?
That's a carried thing.
Carried through.
Okay. All right. Item 15, CCTV in Hetton District. Members will have had a report sent to them on Saturday on this topic. Wait a minute. There you go. I mean, the report is fairly brief and succinct. It provides the background, proposal, and some recommendations, which seem fairly straightforward. Any views, comments, please?
Mr. Clark, could you, I know we have somebody who's particularly interested in this, could you read it very quickly? It'll only take you about 2 minutes, and then that will hopefully answer the questions raised previously by a member of the public.
The member should be able to see it on screen. And just leave it there for a minute or two, rather than listen to my dulcet tones. I'm assuming everybody can see that. It should be working. Tell me what well, everything's on screen. It doesn't need to be moved on.
Madam Mayor, could you ask the member of the public who raised this earlier on the public participation to give a thumbs up if he's read it, because obviously we'd say it'd be referred to later.
Is that okay, Mr. Dowell? Was believing it was yourself that
Yeah, I'm
you've read,
happy
you've
to
read
say
it,
that
yeah?
going ahead. Yeah, and it's I'm pleased that somebody took on board, and I think it's a thing that needs to be done as quick as possible to try and prevent crime rather than I know it's tackling it, but prevention is better than cure, as we always said. And I think that it might sound a bit otherish, that modern times we need another resource to actually help us fight crime. And it is a popular thing down in the big cities and wherever you say CCTV is just a norm now. It's not something that's unusual. So I think we should be going ahead of our time instead of looking back, start looking forward to how to improve Hetton by monitoring what is happening around Hetton. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Hopper?
And I thank Councillor Hopper for looking into this project, because I think it's really worthwhile.
Thank you very much. The only thing that's really slowing it up is the idea of what we're trying to do is it has become a little bit bigger. The amount of cameras, the amount of money, that's at this moment that isn't even clear. But we've seen some fantastic projects, and what I'm pleased to report is if things pan out, and I sort of don't get no hopes up, but if things pan out, this will not cost the council anything, and that to me is parallel to the crime prevention of it. So, and that was one of the things, and that's what's taken so long to try and get funds for this project. But thank you very much for your questions. My email's on the council website. If you've got any more questions, feel free. Okay.
Can I just say, if Councillor Hopper needs any assistance in the matter of the project, I'll be willing to help him.
Thank you very much. If you want to send your details over, Mr. Dowell, I'll certainly draw on that. I could do a little bit of help.
Okay. Is Council happy to proceed with the recommendation in that report?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. We're flying tonight, mine. We're flying. Item 16, Remembrance Day. This item's on the agenda. We discussed it last week at events and special activities, and we agreed I'd put it on the agenda this evening in case there'd been any further developments. So it was really just to bring members up to date. There's been a couple of updates which I've previously sent out. The most recent being the County Durham Association of Local Councils signposting to the government website about preparations for Remembrance Day. I'd also emailed the City Council to ask their advice on individuals wishing to lay a wreath at the War Memorial. We did get a response back, which has also been shared with members. I think it's just a case of asking members if there's any other view since the Events and Special Activities Committee last Monday evening.
Madam Mayor, if the clerk could just read out what Sunderland City Council's official view is so that the general public are aware of what is permissible by them.
There was a fairly lengthy position statement which had come in. Is that the one you're referring to, or the most recent one about individuals?
The most recent one about individuals, what
Yeah.
they said was acceptable.
Yeah. My inquiry to the City Council was, what arrangements are acceptable to Sunderland City Council for individuals wishing to lay remembrance wreaths at the War Memorial in Hetton Mini Park? And the response was, there are no restrictions to individuals laying a wreath or attending any cenotaph or war memorial to pay their respects. Anyone wishing to do that is encouraged to follow the public health advice regarding social distancing and ensuring they abide by whatever the local restrictions are in place at that time. Okay.
No, that's fair comment.
Madam Mayor, the clerk could also just point out that Sunderland City Council said that there was to be no organised events. So obviously, the town council won't be organising an event as it has done in previous years. Sorry for treading on your toes, Councillor Geddes, it's your department.
That's all right. Can I just add, in conjunction with that, at the events committee, we did look at the fact that the War Memorial is covered in lichen and the top half of it is wobbling a little bit. And at the events committee, we did say that we would try and look into that and get a price. So I've just picked that price up this morning from Ian Wood, otherwise known as Waits Memorials. And also to put the lettering in bold, much like the mining statue in Hetton. So Mr. Woods has put both on the cleaning and the lettering to get gold lettering in, and the total bill for that comes to £543. That's including VAT. That's all sort of fixed. I would like to propose that we actually go ahead with that if there's anybody to second it. Councillor
Can I
Watson?
come in there? Yeah,
Yeah.
can I come in there?
Councillor Watson?
Yeah, I think we have to be aware that the memorial does belong to Sunderland City Council, does it not?
Yeah.
Well.
And what I've done, Councillor Geddes, I did contact the conservation officer at Sunderland City Council to see how we should move forward with this. He hasn't come back to me as yet.
Right.
But what I propose is that the estimate that you've received from Ian Woods, we can pass that information on to the conservation officer.
Can I just say that the wobbly top's got nothing to do with the memorial people or the lettering. And I would also add, when is the last time the memorial people have actually done anything with that? I mean, the last time it was cleaned, individuals cleaned it, you and me, for example. So I think if we're waiting for the War Memorial people, we'll be waiting forever.
No. Sorry, Councillor Geddes, it's not the War Memorial. It's the Sunderland City Council.
Well, that's even worse. I'm sorry. That's even worse.
It's Mark Taylor.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you can get Mark Taylor to come out and do all of this, then that's great. I've got no faith in them. Sorry. They haven't done very much with the memorial in the last 10 years.
I agree. I think we may have to look at sort of leaving the lettering. I don't think we're going to get that all done for this November.
Well, yes, he did. He said he would do it for November. We went through with it.
Right. Well, I don't know how anybody else feels, but should we be standing the cost of doing the memorial? I'm just. That's a question.
Can I ask Councillor Heron something here? Because I can recall. I think I can recall. Councillor Heron said Hetton Town Council purchased that, or am I mistaken, Councillor Heron? Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, could I come in? It's I think it would be really nice to have it done for this this November, and especially we get the flags up as well. We've been able to do very little this year because of the COVID-19 situation, and the funds are there. I totally agree with Councillor Waterson. In many respects, it should be the responsibility of Sunderland City Council, and it's very disrespectful of them, in my opinion, not to honour these memorials. I won't go into the reasons why, but I think it's all pretty obvious to me. They should be maintained and looked after, lest we forget. Whether we could ask for a rapid answer from Sunderland City Council, say, will you pay for this? And if they will, all well and good. If not, I think, as a one-off, we should do it this year and get it rocking and rolling. I just think it's important that it's done. That would be my proposal, Madam Mayor.
Can I just come in back there to Councillor Elvin? I mean, I can see where everybody's coming from, but when you're dealing with the City Council, you're going to have one department to clean it, one department to refix the cross on the top, which is wobbling, and then, you know, I don't know if they would be able to do the letter, and I mean, my faith in getting anything done before COVID was about 10% for and 90% against. Now, with COVID, my goodness, if we get anything done from the city, then it'll be the first in my 6 years as a British council, I'll tell you that. Because I've got no faith in them at all. And if we don't do it, it won't get done.
Town Clerk?
Yeah, I've heard this discussion there, and I know Councillor Waterson's approach to the conservation officer. It would be fantastic if the City Council were able to respond swiftly to the request. And obviously, you mentioned, Councillor Geddes, that there's actually a price. However, if they weren't able to deliver swiftly, I would strongly urge caution on the Town Council initiating work to property which wasn't ours, particularly in terms of the repairs to the top and the inlay, which is highly specialised work. And if it goes wrong, I wouldn't like us to get the bill.
Yeah, I'd just come back there, Madam Mayor. Obviously, I wouldn't suggest we did any of the work without getting the consent of Sunderland City Council. I'm sorry, I thought that was a given.
That's exactly what I was trying to get to. Sorry, Chair. That's what I was trying to get to. That
can I just say,
we don't know. Sorry, excuse me, Councillor Geddes. Hang on a second. Hang on.
Councillor Waters speaking. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go on,
That's
Councillor Waters.
what I was trying to say. That before we march ahead, we've got to ensure that we know whose property it is and go through the correct channels. I appreciate Councillor Geddes' eagerness. I know what you're getting at, that there's very little is going to go on in this COVID situation, and it would be great. And I, for one, would love to see it be done. But I think we've got to tread carefully here. If this doesn't belong to us, and I have a feeling, I don't know if any of Councillor Turner knows, if Councillor Heron could clarify who the memorial belongs to. I have had no reply from Ms. Mark Taylor, the Conservation Officer. You know, and time is, I know time is of an essence. We're trying to get on, we're trying to march on and get something done. But we've got to tread carefully.
If nothing gets done, don't say I didn't say this, because I've said it to everybody.
Councillor Rome?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. If we were able to go ahead and Hetton Town Council were to pay for it, is it within our financial remit to do so without getting 3 quotes?
No, we need 3 quotes.
Yeah, that's specialised work. We would certainly need more than one quotation, and then we'll need an extraordinary meeting of the council to consider them.
Can I just say, I don't think that's the case, because this particular person has done work on Easington Lane Memorial Tower. He's obviously gone through the process with Sunderland and the memorial people. What makes you think that other providers have done that? I've already checked.
Not what I meant, Councillor Geddes. I meant the cost. If it's over so
Yes,
much money, aren't we?
yes, but to get somebody that's actually worked for the memorial people and the city council, then, you know, that's you know, you're not talking about going into the paper and getting a gas fitter or a bricklayer. No disrespect to my friend and colleague John Defty, who's a very good gas fitter. But this guy's gone through a process that, you know, yeah, I'm the first one to say you need 3 quotes. Or it's going to be difficult to get 3 quotes with a guy that's done what he's done for both the memorial people and the city council. That's all I'm saying.
Councillor Elvin?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I mean, knowing a little bit about building and cost of things, I think that sounds to me a bit like mates rates, to put it mildly. When you take the VAT off, that is an incredibly modest sum for the work if we're getting all those repairs and the gold lettering leafing done as well. You know, I have been involved with memorials before, and I think it's an extremely good rate. And if it is, yeah, we would normally get 3 quotes. I would propose that we make an exception to this if it can be moved along quickly, because I cannot see anybody else doing that amount of work for that amount of money. And I think, you know, it's a local person, and I personally think he's doing us one heck of a big favour.
Can I just say, Councillor Elvin, he may well be on the preferred contractors list at the City Council anyway.
I did put that in. I did put that into the email to the Conservation Officer, that we had an estimate on its way, and that he was a preferred contract or had been used on the lane clock. That all went into the email. The bottom line is we don't know whose property the memorial is. That's the question.
Madam Mayor, I think I've had correspondence from the town clerks which states that all the memorials are owned by Sunderland City Council. Well, the town clerk, correct me if I'm wrong.
My understanding is that both Easington Lane and the memorial in Hetton Park are owned by the City Council. What I can tell you is that they're not owned by Hetton Town Council.
Coulson.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very modest price. That won't be beaten. That's a good price. But with the time of the year, the gold lettering, is it suitable time to have the lettering done? And who paid? Where did he get his fees from when he did Easington Lane, this contractor? Who did he claim from?
I don't know. I don't know. I never went into that with him.
Interesting point, though. Yeah.
Madam, if we could progress this matter, I mean, I think, you know, I think we all agree it's really some of the City Council's responsibility. You know, they own it, they should maintain it, and especially being what it is, a war memorial. I go back to my original suggestion that if we could get a swift response from them as to whether they're likely to pay for it or not, and if not, would they give us permission to do it? But it would have to be swift. We'd have to find out what the latest date is that the war memorial specialist could, or the memorial specialist, should I say, can do the job. But I think we need to progress it, otherwise we're talking around in circles all night.
Can I just ask, what have we actually asked Sunderland to do? Because I've just picked this up today with the lettering and the cleaning, and obviously, unless myself and Councillor Waterson hadn't cleaned it last year when it was still wobbling, then nobody would have known it was wobbling. So what are we actually asking Sunderland to do?
Yeah, can I come in there?
Yes, yeah.
The email went off and I said exactly what we discussed with Mr. Woods, Ian Woods. The cleaning of the memorial statue, the fixing of the top, the wobbly top, and then the lettering. I put all of them in, Councillor Geddes, and I did say we would have an estimate to put forward to him. I think the clerk can confirm I sent that off the middle of last week to Mark Taylor. As yet, I have had no reply. I'm quite happy to send another email urgently. You know, I'll say that speed's of the essence now. That time's getting on, and we need to do something. PDQ, and I'll also put in the fact that if we're all in agreement that Hetton Town Council's prepared to stump up and pay for this, if they'll give us the go ahead to do it. You know, I don't know how the council feels about this.
Well, time's marching on, and I think the way things are going, I can't say he's getting anything done if you know, if we get this done, as my dad would say, I'll eat here with a donkey.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, Councillor Morrison.
No, I mean, if you want me to send another email off, I'm happy to do it. I don't know which other route
Yeah,
you can
oh,
take to.
it cannot hurt. Yes?
Councillor
Yeah.
Hopper wanted to say.
Madam
Sorry.
Mayor, could I suggest that the town clerk writes maybe, no disrespect to Councillor Waterston, but he writes saying further Councillor Waterston's initial inquiry, this is the cost. Are you going to stumble up for it, and can we have a quick answer because we want to get it done?
Yes, I would agree with that.
And
Yeah.
with a further paragraph, and if you're not prepared to pay for it, are we permitted to go to other sources or something? I don't know. Think of something, town clerk, just like the blue touch paper, will you, immediately?
Can I just, before we move on, can I just say that there's something really disappointing here, and I think that is the fact that if the responsibility for maintaining war memorials and lights in Hetton Mini Park are the City of Sunderland Council's responsibility, I would suggest everybody that's on this Zoom meeting tonight just goes and has a look at the Christmas lights that's hanging on the trees that are lich and green and dropping to bits, and the war memorial. Now, I, along with Councillor Waterson and Mr. McGlinchey out the shops cleaned it last year, and we got criticised. But you know, hey, if Sunderland City Council are responsible for these, I suggest they live up to our expectations, because at the moment they are dreadfully low. I'm finished.
Madam Mayor, I made a proposal.
Yeah, we've got a
Yes.
proposal on the table and a seconder. So can we, everybody agree, or?
Any dissent?
Yes, I agree.
So everybody in favour? No dissent?
In favour.
Right, I think I'm with it. Right to Sunderland City Council, ASAP. What's the position? In the form of position is, if you won't do it, we will.
Well, you could ask them to come out and meet somebody there, including yourself. I mean, that would be a quicker option, but then again, there's no paper trail, is there?
I like a paper trail, Councillor Geddes. I like a
I know
paper
you
trail.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Yeah, verbal doesn't exist.
Okie dokie. Can I just raise one more issue here? We've already had the discussion about flagpoles. Now that there's been a decision made on preferred supplier, is it expected that as long as I get my finger out, the suppliers, whether it's A or B, can do it very, very quickly indeed. So I do have the expectation that we'll have the flagpoles in by Remembrance Day. And I'll not tell you what I've got crossed at the minute, but it's everything.
Madam Mayor, if I could say, subject to Sunderland Council's permission.
Yes, absolutely.
So if it doesn't come quickly, we know who to blame.
We're not in a blame culture.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, sorry, I just woke up there.
Right, do we want to move on to item 17?
That's me.
Yeah, Councillor Rowan.
Coalfield Area Committee. Well, as I've said the last couple of times I've reported on this, the format of the Coalfield Area Committee has changed, and now the neighbourhood and community plans replace the former local area plans. Members work with the key officers to deliver their priorities, and although these boards are not decision-making bodies, they feed their recommendations up to the Coalfield Area Committee. So basically, the Coalfield Area Committee is a rubber stamping job. But there are two subjects worth mentioning from the meeting, which I think I'd like to point out. The first one is the continued support by that committee of LCAP, Easington Lane Community Access Point, which was singled out for what I consider to be well-deserved praise. LCAP has won the Community Group Award in the Voluntary and Community Action BCAS Open Arms Community Group Award from Sunderland, and there's been special mention and thanks to Sean Newton, who is the Centre Coordinator. This organisation is an extremely successful community venture which has gone from success to success over recent years. It works on a very modest turnover, about £200,000 a year, according to its latest March 2019 accounts. It's got loads of volunteers, very few employees, and very low staff costs, about £60,000 a year. It's got no pension fund, and most of its funding comes from a surprisingly large number of diverse charities. Councillor Hopper, I'd like to talk to you about these charities. And approval was given for a £5,000 grant from the Neighbourhood Fund, which is a third of the Lifeline project cost. The other subject I found interesting was a grant of £950 from the Community Chest to Springboard North East towards Space Hive's crowdfunding exercise to raise funds for the Lake Cafe. Now, you may recall, and it was mentioned earlier by Councillor Farrow, that a request was made to Hetton Town Council a couple of meetings ago for contributions towards this. I and others put forward a motion to seek clarification before approval. That motion was defeated, and the original motion was subsequently defeated also. Now, that £500 grant application to Hetton Town Council was from Springboard Sunderland Trust, but it was a pledge to Space Hive, crowdfunding organisation used by Sunderland City Council. This is what I was trying to get clarification on. And it was for the Springboard Futures delivery, and the cheque payee name was Springboard Sunderland Trust. I'm continually hearing and seeing reference made to Springboard North East or just Springboard, as in the agenda papers for this Coalfield Area Committee meeting. Now, I thought it was my opportunity to get to the bottom of my wondering what's going on with all these Springboard names. So I wrote to Pauline Hopper requesting copies of the grant application form and the name of the payee. She didn't answer those questions. She just said, the pledge was made by all ward councillors in response to the request made by Springboard on the Crowdfund Sunderland site. All relevant information was contained in that request, and all checks are done by Space Hive, and the pledge is made directly to them. I'm almost finished. Now, my research found out that there are no such companies or charities called Springboard North East or Springboard Futures or simply Springboard. Springboard Sunderland Trust is a charity. It has a multi-million-pound turnover, over 4 million a year, end March 2018. The latest accounts are running 6 months over. The funding comes primarily from Sunderland City Council, neighbouring councils, and central government organisations. In other words, we the taxpayer. It does do a lot of very good work. It does have many employees, and it's got a nice little pension fund as well. I'd like to ask Sunderland City Councillors on the Coalfield Area Committee to tidy up these Springboard name anomalies. It's sloppy, it's unprofessional, and it's not very transparent. And finally, I'd just like to say, in conjunction, this year Springboard has already had, in conjunction with Sharp, neighbourhood funding request and agreed of 25,000 and another £50,000 of a total project cost of 83,000 for the Communities Connected project. My personal opinion is that I'm beginning to wonder if some of the lack of transparency and sloppy financial processes once present in Hetton Town Council are prevalent in the area committees, and that's why I voted against giving Springboard, whoever they are, whichever organisation it gives itself, £500 when it gets so much money from the taxpayer, you, me, and everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate a point which I've made at previous meetings, and you know, one that just needs resolving. and I quote from the town charter again: the City Council has a Coalfield Area Committee, which will be seen as the principal link between the City Council and the Town Council. We know it doesn't work. Councillor Rome goes along and listens. She has no right of input any more than an ordinary man in the street. There is no consultation, to my knowledge. We're not listed as one of the statutory consultees to the Coalfield Committee for anything that happens in our area, anything. And I do hope we can get our charter revived and brought up to date, but I don't hold that much hope. I note a missive from Elaine Ward, the Assistant Director of Governance, saying, "Oh, I know from an earlier correspondence that the Town Council requested a review of the charter be undertaken." As I'm sure you'll appreciate, council services maybe have many pressing demands on resources which must be prioritised. However, we will give some initial thought internally on how we might take this forward and then set up a call with you. But again, it's a primary source of funding for the area, and as I said at previous meetings, this town charter, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that in-depth report. My recollection of that meeting was that I didn't see anybody who wanted to deny Springboard the funds. What it was, in my mind, it was about scrutiny. And it was about saying that you've got all these applications out for funds. Can we just check to see how much money you've got? Although that's not even in sort of our remit, as it were. It was like, so we haven't got in our application form, if you've got over X amount of pounds, then you won't get from us. All we were saying is I think I've made the point actually. So the deferment was just for extra scrutiny, just to make sure that we weren't giving money away. It was a political vote that night, decisions, and unfortunately Springboard lost out on that particular night, and it wasn't through any fault of UKIP and Independent.
Who's next?
Can I come in, Madam Mayor?
Rome first and then yourself, Councillor Geddes.
Yes, Councillor Hopper, I just find it very strange that an organisation, sorry, am I there? Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. An organisation with over 4 million a year turnover, that gets all that money from the taxpayer, comes to Hetton Town Council without the correct paperwork for £500. I just find it astounding. And that's why I wanted more information.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Can I just please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I certainly voted, and I voted for more information. And the reason I say that was because I think the paperwork that we had in front of us at the time, the financial paperwork, was from 2018. And I recall a number of councillors saying that, including me, that we were sympathetic to it, but we needed to be completely confident that the paperwork was up to date. And we did recognise there was a time restraint, but Springboard had a responsibility to get that in time. They know that the council only meet once a month. So that timekeeping is not down to us. But certainly, from my recollection, it was the paperwork needed to be addressed, and I don't think any councillor at any time said no. We said we would defer it for further information. Now, I know it's been put out by various people that certain councillors voted against it. I don't think that's true at all. I think there was certainly a discussion on deferring it for further information. That's all I want to say.
Elvin?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, can we move on, because we're drifting off the subject of the report of the actual what went on at the Coalfields Committee. not we shouldn't be discussing, in my opinion, decisions which have been made. They've been made. That's the end of the story. And so, one thing, the only comment I'd like to add, I just find it incredible that that 3 city councils can pledge to nearly £1,000 of public money in their own right without any sort of consultation. I don't know how they have this authority to say, "Oh, we'll give £1,000 out of the public purse." That to me I find astounding, and I don't know why. But anyway, I propose, Madam Mayor, that we move on. Time is pressing.
Move on. Yeah. Okay. Item 18, planning matters.
Yes, there are 3 planning applications. Again, I'll bring these up on screen. Excuse me. There we go. The first one here relates to Hetton Lines Workshop, installation of 4 light towers. Over to council.
I'd like to speak on this one. This is Councillor Rowan.
Me too, Councillor Geddes.
Me too, Councillor Deputy.
Yeah.
May I go first? Madam
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yes, sorry, Councillor Rome.
Yes. I've been talking to a couple of local residents on this who have lodged objections on the Sunderland City website against this. Well, I would like to recommend that we oppose it on the grounds that it will exacerbate the current light pollution already experienced by these residents at number 3 and number 5. I mean, even in the if you read the lighting assessment that was submitted with this, it contradicts itself, the client. It says, the lighting assessment submitted in support of these applications demonstrates that the lighting towers will create light spill to the residential properties to the south of the site. They've admitted that themselves, and they will not therefore harm neighbouring amenities. I mean, just totally contradicting itself.
I'll
But
second that.
also, the residents apparently have lodged several complaints with Sunderland City Council since this operation has been there, because it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation. There are comings and goings all night. The guys coming in and out have walkie-talkies, they can hear it. There are chains and gate smashing, and I would definitely like to recommend that we oppose this on the grounds that it will exacerbate the light and noise pollution that the neighbourhoods or the neighbours already suffer.
Second that.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Object. No.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to speak on that, and it was exactly what Councillor Rowan said. I mean, looking out of my window now, and you might smile at this, but I can see the quarry lights at Eppelin, and they never go off during the night. Now, at the end of the day, we all know that there's a factory there that's got a buzz to it down there all night, and I think adding further lighting down there, I think it would be a step too far for the people that live in that vicinity. So I would oppose it, yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, can I just say one thing? I seem to recall when they first set up business there that it wasn't going to be a 24-hour operation.
That's correct.
They said they would be finished by a certain hour, which was not unreasonable, and there would be no sort of Sunday working. But as Councillor Rome says, it's now 7 days a week, 24/7. So I would
looking at that.
I would, as I say, agree to the motion.
Do I need assent at all? Yeah, can I just ask Councillor Room, can I liaise further with you just on the formal wording?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can I just liaise further with you on a form of wording?
Absolutely, yes, we'll do that
Right,
tomorrow.
I'm just
or
conscious
Thursday.
that one, the deadline is tomorrow. What I will do, I'll contact the City Council to say that we will be responding, just to buy another couple of days. If
Okay.
that's okay.
Thank you.
Right. Excuse me. Is there another one here? I think they're all together, aren't they? Yes, they are. Sorry, that second one, I don't know how to say this in a weird side accent. Outbank?
Outbank.
I have no objections to that. This is Councillor Rowan speaking.
No, I have no
objections.
No,
No.
I think it's an improvement, so I'm all for it.
Right, okay, clear on that one, thank you. And then the final one, 19th Century Ways at East Drayton.
I have no objections to that. This
No
is Councillor
problem.
Rowan speaking.
No objections,
No,
Councillor
no.
Harris, yeah.
Right, everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Need to send? Take that as a no. Where are we now? Correspondence. Correspondence. Yeah, this is the final screen share tonight. Where's it gone? No, I've lost it. Yeah, just a quick run through the correspondence. The first item I've got here is an email I've had from a member of the public. And it's not a topic I have any knowledge of. And it simply says, I live in the Taylor Wimpey Clarence Court development and would like to inquire as to whether the lack of fibre broadband and no current plans to install fibre has been brought up. I've questioned Openreach, but they always just tell me that I would need to organise this myself within the community to crowdfund it. That's the nub of the email. I don't know quite what the context of this is in terms of broadband in the area.
Well, I do, because I live there.
Right. What's the score?
Well, the score is that Taylor Wimpey promised that there would be fibre put in here. They've nagged on that, and it's basically now, you know, there is, I think, some small portion of houses at the top, at the first part of the estate that was built. So that's onto the road to the Easington Lane Cemetery. But the rest of us, mere mortals, have been told that unless everybody pays on the estate to have it put in, I'm not talking about put in to the house, I'm talking about get it put in to the area type thing, to the estate, which is kind of ridiculous. So there's a major battle going on with the residents up here, with various people. I haven't had time to go on because there's an actual neighbourhood page, and that is at the moment that and the lack of dog bins and what have you, and unadopted roads up here. I mean, this state's been up for 10 years, the roads are still not adopted. You know, there is a link there which anybody can go on, but that's the gist of it. We were promised broadband and haven't got it yet, and it looks like we're going to have to pay through the nose to get it. But I will get back to you with some further information.
But did you want to quickly?
Yes, I do. Very quickly. So anybody who's been to Amsterdam, not sure whether you have been, but they're running a thing called Air Fibre. It's Wi-Fi, 100 meg download minimum wherever you go. You just log in, you wander through the city, inside or out, and that's what you've got. Now, I did mention when I first come on to council that I was very interested in getting Wi-Fi throughout the Hetton, and I just actually mentioned it again yesterday. So now I think we have a guy, Councillor Green, I think he's got some expertise in this area. So and I wouldn't mind working with them. Ability study. Hey, these organisations aren't playing ball. Let's just sideswipe them. Let's take it out of their control. And that could be not so much a money maker for the council, but we could make a little bit out of it and still provide it cheap, because the one thing about air fibre, you don't have to charge any line rental. So if all we're doing is charging people £5 a month, it'll cost us less than £1 to provide it. That's £4 a month of everybody who takes it up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Councillor Alvin, sorry.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, it was my understanding, and Charles, be correct me if I'm wrong, that BT have provided fibre to all the cabinets in the area. And of course, from the cabinet to your home is still on copper wire. So obviously that's when you get the reduction in speed. I think there's very little chance of getting full fibre house to house. I wonder if your residents are getting confused whether the fact they actually have got fibre to the nearest cabinet. I know we have here. And then obviously there's have a droppage from the cabinet.
No.
But if it hasn't got fibre to the cabinet, it is an undertaking by BT, and I think I saw it on Sunderland City Council that they were providing fibre to all cabinets in the city centre. An interesting footnote: the building regulations now changed, and of course, any new housing estate built on the latest current building regs, they have to provide fibre to each house by the developer. But I'm sure some developers will pay a way around that, but I wouldn't like to mention any names. But maybe you could check whether the fibre goes to the cabinet.
It goes to the top cabinet where Merton Lane, yeah, Merton Lane is. But that money provides for a certain number of houses. The rest of us, from I would say 3/4 of the estate, and the guys that's been dealing with this have been dealing with Openreach and the various other people. Personally, I haven't been involved in it, but I'll certainly delve into the website. In fact, anybody can join. It's an open group. I'll pass the open group details on to Michael and anybody else that wants it, so you can have a look yourselves.
Madam Mayor, could we task the town clerk? I know we're always giving him jobs. Could we task him to write to the Sunderland City Council, the appropriate department, and inquire if the cabinet which provides this particular area of Hetton is on fibre or not?
That would be great.
Hello, there should be a number on the cabinet, and if you get the number, and you can go on Openreach's website, and you can actually get there. It'll tell you what services come out of that cabinet.
Now, because I don't walk anywhere very often, but I can recall when I first moved up here, there was a BT warehouse on Merton Lane. Can anybody remember that? No? Where the Rigdon's tea place is. It was a BT thing round there. Like a building. I'm not talking about the box, I'm talking about a building. I'll have to have a look tomorrow.
Come on, TC.
Clark, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you there, Councillor Pearson.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry. I'll just have to learn to shout.
Right, I had my hand up before, but I think the question's been answered. I listened with interest to the discussion, but I was trying to figure out what the action was for me. But Councillor Elvin's assigned that. I'm fine with that. Yeah. What do I tell the resident though?
Madam Mayor, just tell him what you're doing, and tell him it's your understanding that fibre goes as far as the box that supplies you, but you're seeking clarification to find out if that is the case.
Right. Yeah. Thanks very much for that. I'm just going to go back to the list of correspondence. Right. The next items are from Sunderland City Council. The first one there Note, this is just for information and noting only, just to let you know that I've been formally advised by the City Council that 2 complaints have been made under the Code of Conduct procedure. The next item from the City Council is the letter which has been alluded to earlier this evening from the head of legal, just around arrangements for the town charter and the request that we made to Sunderland City Councillors to attend the meeting. That's already been on circulation. Excuse me. The next one here.
Madam Mayor, could I just comment on that last one? I find it strange that whenever anything to do with city councillors, I know if we wanted advice, we would go to and ask somebody advice, and then we'd write in ourselves and say, well, this is why we're not doing it, X, Y, and Z. It seems that our city council, whatever they want, they just snap the fingers and they get a solicitor to write a letter on their behalf, which seems to be most inappropriate and almost, waste of the ratepayers' money. Take advice, yes, but then they actually commission, a public employee to write letters on their behalf. I just think it's quite preposterous. That's all I'd like to say, Madam Mayor.
I agree.
10 o'clock. You're on mute, 10 o'clock. You're on mute. Where have you gone?
Oh, I'm here. Don't worry.
Right.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just trying to keep up. The finance report referenced this, and it just confirmed that we had notification from Hargreaves Mining about the distribution of monies from the community fund. But just give a little bit more background to this. I knew it was going to be paid, but I didn't know when. It was only when I checked the bank balance for the finance report that I realised that the money had been paid. But yes, we've got it now. Got it. So again, just for noting, unless there's any queries about that. Next batch of correspondence was from the County Durham Association of Local Councils, planning for the future government white paper consultation. Councillor Rome and I last Wednesday night attended an online session conducted by Durham County Council, which gave an introduction to the government's proposals to change the planning regime. And we are invited, not specifically Hetton Town Council, but the government is inviting comments as part of the consultation. I don't know quite what it is. I did send some information out to members about this. Have a look at. Any views?
Yes, I always have a view. I think it was to say, I might have the date wrong, but only within a couple of years. I think it wasn't up until sometime in the 1950s that we actually had planning regulations. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I look at the buildings before 1950, they beat these ones into the ground. So in terms of the planners, I'll be over the moon that they get overruled. Thank you.
Yeah. 10 o'clock, yep.
Well, continue speaking if you want.
Oh, hang on, Councillor Farrow want to come in there.
I've only looked at it very quickly, but it seemed to me that local people are going to lose the opportunity to complain about, to place objections, and I think that's very much a backward step, and it's something we all need to be aware of and to fight this government's proposals in that respect.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm. 10 o'clock?
Yeah, Jim, just we have the opportunity as a town council to take part in the consultation. The papers I sent out a few days ago, I think it was last Thursday, gave a list, I think it was of 26 questions which the government were asking people to respond to. We don't have to respond in full, and indeed my view is that it's a very complex topic to deal with, but if there are any specific points we want to make, we do have the opportunity so to do.
We'll do that.
Madam Mayor, could I suggest that the the comment which Councillor Farrow has made is one of the comments that you include.
Are there any others?
Just after that, I would just like to add to that, Madam Mayor, if you don't mind. That Councillor Farrow is quite right. Everything that in there is designated towards giving the developer overall control, and the community has very little. This government has time and time again said that planning authorities must make the decisions, that take the decisions away where we could object objectively to planning legislation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can I speak there? Can you? I've gone off screen.
John,
I don't know.
sorry.
Yeah.
Councillor Deputy, yes.
I know. It is right that they're taking away the consultation and the right of the public to speak, but they've done that already because they don't take a blind bit of notice of anything that the public do. We voted against nearly every planning application in the area, the 300 houses down Hazard Lane, the building of the houses on Red Land in Rainton. Every development that we've opposed has gone through. So it's down to Sunderland City Council planners. It's down to Sunderland City Council to stand up.
Well said, Councillor Deputy, well said.
So Heron, did you want to come back?
Yeah, it's not just Sunderland City Council, it's the legislation that Sunderland City Council has to obey.
Yeah,
the same as every
it is.
But they don't obey it, they just railroad the public. Railroad the public.
Yes, through government legislation. It's the government who needs to change that legislation.
It's the people,
it's the people,
right. And the local council should stand up and say, this has to change.
You've got to object with a planning. It's got to be a planning objection. It's got to be a sort of a legal objection.
I know that, Councillor Watterson, but they don't take a blind bit of notice anyway.
No, the
railroaded. The frogs and the newts. That's the tunnels for the frogs and the newts. Come off it.
Right. Town clerk, yeah, can we progress it?
Foreman.
Yeah.
Can I just come in?
Yeah, Councillor Turner?
Yes, I think we should object to what the government wants to do, because they could end up building in our parks, on the green wetland. They could end up building in our parks.
We already
and
are.
I honestly
are doing that, yeah.
And I honestly think that we need to object.
Can we go proceed? Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I can what's happening.
Okay, Town Clerk.
Yeah, again, I've listened to the comments there. Can I just suggest that I liaise with Councillor Rome in her capacity as chairman of Planning Committee just to get the nuances?
Fine.
Yeah, we're all against it.
Agreed.
We've got a few days, but thank you for that. Okay. Couple of more things. The other stuff we've had from the County Association was predominantly about Remembrance Day. It's all been copied to members. I think we've done that one now. So they're too numerous to mention, but everybody's been copied in. We're up to speed with position on that. The final pieces of correspondence relate to the Rural Market Towns Group, which members will recall we agreed to sign up for free of charge until next April. There are two bits of correspondence that come from them. One is just a welcome letter, a survey, which is just asking for details of the organisation, but a request for a representative from Hetton Town Council. And then the follow-on from that is an invitation to a meeting on the 9th of November, which is an online Zoom meeting between members of this group. As the town clerk, I'm getting this correspondence, and it's entirely in order for me to attend that meeting and be the initial contact. The difficulty I have is that not being local or being from the immediate area, I don't have that granular and in-depth understanding of the community. And what I would like to suggest is that we really need a member to fulfil that role. Looking at the committee structure, it struck me that perhaps it might be pertinent to have something from management and policy.
Councillor Elvin's nodding his head, but he's done, yeah.
I'm quite happy to volunteer if council wishes to put me
I'll
forward.
second that.
Yeah. No problem.
We're all okay with that? Grand. Thank you very much. I do believe that item 20 is the final item. Date and time of next meeting, 16th of November. I strongly suspect that it'll be a remote meeting again, 7:15, Monday the 16th of November.
And
Okay.
exactly 2.5 hours we've been on. So
Champion.
Champion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councillor. Yeah.
Yeah, but before we go, the clerk very kindly circulated Sunderland City Council's response to the members of public and council members' requests for actions, which hasn't been discussed tonight. And I'm sure the members of the public would love to see the fruits of labour of the town clerk, something we're not used to, getting actual responses from Sunderland City Council. Could I inquire before we go, will you be putting this on the website so that members of the public can see?
I haven't previously done that. I can put anything on the website. I must be honest, Councillor Elvin, you're right. I should have alluded to that in my update that we'd had that information. When I've looked at it this afternoon, there's quite a few things which need follow-up queries made, either with members or further research into them. So the responsible heart isn't actually conclusive on many of those issues, but I'm happy to take council's views on it.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I appreciate that they aren't inclusive, but at least demonstrates the fact you're doing a job and you're passing on all the queries that everybody raises as Sunderland City Council, and chase them and getting an answer. It just proves that Sunderland City Council will do the job if pressed, which is more than we can say for past experience. And I think the public should see the responses so far, and they will be able to see that there's work in progress, and the council can see there's work in progress, and come to you either directly or through ward matters to progress the outstanding matters. And so I propose that these responses that you've got from Sunderland City Council are placed on the website for all to see.
Can I just add to that, Councillor Elvin, for transparency as well?
Yes.
One of the biggest things we said is it's got to be transparent.
Yeah, but I think the members of the public would like to see that you know we're doing a job, or the clerk is doing a job, and he has got responses. Some of them are late, whatever it is, but that's not his fault. But at least he's managed to elicit responses, and I propose that he puts these on, tidies them up, and puts them on the website.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Agreed.
Everybody all right with that?
Yeah.
Councillor Waterson, you're speaking, but you're muted.
Sometimes it's a good thing. No, I was about to say, I really agree
Councillor
with you.
Waterson, as they say, you might say that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
Me neither.
No, I think that's a really good idea. I really do. And I think it lets the public see that we are trying to do things. I know we don't actually, it doesn't sometimes see as if we get very far and that we're banging our heads against brick walls, but we work very hard to represent the residents of Hetton and try and move things forward. And I think we should put that out.
Well said, Councillor Waterson.
Okay. I'm assuming everyone's happy for me to go ahead along those lines, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, thank you for allowing me to suggest that.
Yeah, I think we're done. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm now going to stop recording. Thank everyone for attending tonight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you next time.
Be safe.